What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm KT, and today we're doing something that's guaranteed to start some more heated debates in the comments, especially after the heat we got ranking the Batmobiles and best lightsaber duels of all time. Check those videos right here. But right now, we're ranking every single live-action Star Wars theatrical film from worst to best. I'm sure we're going to get some opinions here, so let's get after it. All 11 films from The Phantom Menace to The Rise of Skywalker get ranked right now. But before you grab your TIE fighters and head into the comments, remember, this is just my opinion. I'm definitely down to argue over them, and who knows, maybe you can convince me otherwise on a ranking. But the beauty of Star Wars is that different films speak to different people, and that's what makes this franchise so special. So whether you're a prequel defender, an original trilogy purist, kind of like me, or someone who actually enjoyed the sequels, there's something here for everyone to disagree with, so let's jump into hyperspace and start this ranking. Coming in at number 11, we have The Last Jedi. And look, I know this film has its passionate defenders, and I even enjoyed watching it, but for me, this represents everything that went wrong with the sequel trilogy. Rian Johnson took the franchise in a direction that felt fundamentally at odds with what Star Wars represents. The biggest crime? Turning Luke Skywalker, the eternal optimist who saw good in Darth Vader, into a depressed, hopeless hermit who gave up on everything he believes in. Even Mark Hamill himself has been openly conflicted about Luke's character direction, openly expressing concerns about how different this version was from the hopeful hero fans knew and loved in the previous films. The film is also bogged down by unnecessary subplots, pacing issues, and moments that feel more concerned with subverting expectations than honoring the Star Wars legacy. There are some beautiful visuals here, but beautiful visuals can't save a story that misses the heart of what makes Star Wars special. Why a mega franchise like Star Wars couldn't just book a director for all 3 films is just beyond me. The Last Jedi basically pits 2 directors against each other's vision and leads us into a retcon central with The Rise of Skywalker, but we will get to that in a little bit. At number 10, The Phantom Menace. In 1999, this was everything. Star Wars was finally back, the excitement was palpable, and for a brief moment, it felt like pure magic again. But decades of reflection have shown us what could have been. While the film gave us the incredible Duel of the Fates and introduced us to Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon Jinn, it also saddled us with midi-chlorians, trade disputes, and, Jar Jar Binks. The political intrigue that Lucas was going for never quite landed, and the film often feels more concerned with world building and explaining the magic and marketing to 8-year-olds than telling its own compelling story for everyone. Still, there's an innocence and a wonder here that's hard to completely dismiss, especially that final lightsaber duel. Attack of the Clones takes the 9th spot. This film has always felt like the most workmanlike of the Star Wars saga. It does what it needs to do to advance the story, but rarely transcends into something truly special. The romance between Anakin and Padme is stilted and unconvincing, largely due to the dialogue that no actor could make work. However, the film does deliver on spectacle. The arena battle on Geonosis is genuinely exciting, and seeing Yoda ignite a lightsaber for the first time was an absolute theater-cheering moment that I'll never forget. The mystery elements work better than the romance, and the film successfully builds towards the Clone Wars that would define the next phase of the saga. The introduction of the clone army and the mechanisms behind the war add political intrigue that, while not only smoothly executed, gives weight to the galaxy-spanning conflict to come. It's not great Star Wars, but it's functional Star Wars that serves its purpose in the larger story. The Rise of Skywalker lands at number 8. This film is frustrating because buried within its chaotic plot are some genuinely great moments. The connection between Rey and Ben Solo is the film's strongest element. Their final confrontation with Palpatine, fighting together as one against the ultimate evil, is visceral and emotionally satisfying. 2 characters who are enemies finding common ground and connection in their shared destiny. But man, everything around that core relationship is a mess. The slapdash return of Palpatine, the endless plot holes, and the desperate attempts to course correct from The Last Jedi's divisive choices result in a film that feels like it's constantly running away from its own story. There are spectacular action sequences, and John Williams delivers another incredible score, but the film ultimately collapses under the weight of trying to be 3 movies in one. It's a disappointing end to a trilogy that never quite found its footing. Now, number 7, Solo, a Star Wars story, takes the next spot. And honestly, this film is way better than its reputation suggests. Alden Ehrenreich delivers a deeply underrated portrayal of a young Han Solo. He's not trying to do a Harrison Ford impression. Instead, he captures the cocky, reckless spirit of the character while making it his own. The heist plot works brilliantly for Han Solo's story. This feels like the kind of adventure Han would tell you about over drinks at a cantina. The action is kinetic, the characters are engaging, and Donald Glover's Lando is absolutely perfect. Sure, it over-explains some things as we've seen in the past. We didn't need explained, but the film has heart, humor, and genuinely thrilling set pieces. It's a shame that releasing just 5 months after The Last Jedi, during a period of franchise fatigue and maybe even people still unpacking levels of disappointment from The Last Jedi and from the finale of the sequel trilogies, likely killed future anthology films, because this proved there were great Star Wars stories still to be told outside of the main saga. I think a combination of all those things, the timing and the fatigue, ultimately led to Solo being branded as a bad direction in movie making and the storytelling for Star Wars. But I think they should rethink it. I think history is telling us that it was a good movie. It was a good representation of Han, and we should see more of Ehrenreich in the role, I think. And I would still love to see more character reboots, including, as we've already touched upon, the reboot of the Luke Skywalker live action casting, possibly going to Sebastian Stan. Check that video here. And next up, Revenge of the Sith claims the 6th position. This is where George Lucas finally delivered on the promise of the prequel trilogy, showing us the fall of Anakin Skywalker and the rise of Darth Vader. The film is genuinely tragic in its best way. Watching Anakin's descent into darkness is heartbreaking because you understand his motivations, even as you watch him make increasingly terrible choices. The Mustafar lightsaber duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin is emotionally devastating. These aren't just two characters fighting. It's the end of a friendship, the end of a brotherhood, the death of hope, and the birth of the Empire, all wrapped into one spectacular sequence. Yes, there's still some corny moments and the dialogue doesn't quite work at times, but the emotional weight of this story carries the film. When Vader's helmet clicks into place, and at last you hear that mechanical breathing, you feel the tragedy of what's been lost. Number 5, The Force Awakens. After 16 years away from the galaxy far, far away, this film reminded us why we all fell in love with Star Wars in the first place. Daisy Ridley's Rey captures that Luke Skywalker wonder and determination, while Adam Driver's Kylo Ren genuinely conflicted and unpredictable. J.J. Abrams understands the visual language of Star Wars. Action sequences feel kinetic and real. John Williams' new themes integrate seamlessly with classic motifs, and there's a genuine sense of adventure that has been missing from the franchise. Sure, it's perhaps too familiar to A New Hope in structure, but after the prequels, getting back to basics felt like exactly what Star Wars needed. The film successfully passed the torch to a new generation while honoring what came before. Return of the Jedi secures 4th place. This film had the impossible task of concluding the original trilogy. And while it doesn't quite reach the heights of its predecessors, it delivers a satisfying conclusion to Luke's journey. The emotional core of the film, Luke's belief that there is still good in Darth Vader, is Star Wars at its most hopeful. The throne room confrontation between Luke, Vader, and the Emperor is peak Star Wars drama, with Luke facing his greatest test, not in combat, but in refusing to give in to hatred. The Endor sequences with the Ewoks might divide fans, but there's something charming about these primitive creatures helping to bring down the technologically superior Empire. It fits the David versus Goliath theme that runs throughout Star Wars, and when put up against Jar Jar Binks, I'll take Ewok characters any day of the week. And honestly, I never really thought much about the Ewoks being a problem in the film till I was much older and I began to see all this criticism about them. So I'm on the fence with the Ewoks. I get it, but I really think they weren't that bad. And Jar Jar Binks is beyond corny compared to the Ewoks for me. Now, the space battle above Endor remains one of the most thrilling sequences in the saga, and Vader's redemption and death gives emotional weight to everything we've just watched. It's a film that understands that the real victory isn't destroying the Death Star, it's saving Anakin Skywalker's soul. Taking us to number 3, with I'm sure a lot of criticism coming in the comments, my take is The Empire Strikes Back. This is many fans' favorite Star Wars film, and it's easy to understand why. It's the most mature, sophisticated, and emotionally complex entry in the saga. Irvin Kershner brought a darkness and complexity to Star Wars that elevated it from space adventure to genuine drama. The film doesn't pull its punches. Our heroes are separated, defeated, and fundamentally changed by their experiences. The Vader reveal remains one of cinema's greatest plot twists, not because it's surprising, but because it recontextualizes everything we thought we knew about Luke's journey. This isn't just a hero's quest anymore, it's a family tragedy. From the Hoth battle to the lightsaber duel in Cloud City, every sequence in this film feels essential. It's perfect middle chapter that deepens our understanding of the characters while raising the stakes for the finale. Again, I understand a lot of people are going to be hating on this one. They're going to want it at number 1. It's a lot of people's favorites, but let's keep going and see where we're at. There's only 2 left, and I'm sure you can figure it out. But what did I put at number 2? Of course, Rogue One claims the runner-up position. And for many fans, this is Star Wars at its absolute best. This is Star Wars as a war movie. Gritty, grounded, and filled with moral complexity. No space witches here, just ordinary people making extraordinary sacrifices for the greater good. This is Star Wars at its most realistic and human. The film perfectly captures the desperation of the rebellion. These aren't the polished heroes of the main saga. They're rebels, criminals, and soldiers who've done terrible things in service of a deeply righteous cause. The final act on Scarif is a masterclass in tension and spectacle. The space battle above the planet, while the ground team attempts their impossible mission, creates genuine stakes and emotion. And that Vader hallway sequence, pure nightmare fuel that reminds us why the Empire and Vader was feared across the galaxy. Rogue One proves that Star Wars can be more than just an adventure. It can be art. And last but not least, you got it, taking the top spot, A New Hope. The film that started it all and in many ways has never been topped. This is lightning in a bottle. In 1971, George Lucas created something that had never been seen before, a space opera that felt both futuristic and timeless, epic and intimate. The framework established here, light versus dark, hope versus despair, faith overcoming impossible odds, defines everything that makes Star Wars special. This is the template that every subsequent film has tried to recapture. The visual effects were revolutionary, but what makes the film timeless is its heart. Luke's journey from farm boy to hero isn't just about learning to use the Force, it's about learning to believe in something greater than yourself. When Luke stares at those twin suns, dreaming of adventure beyond his small world, we see ourselves. That's the magic of A New Hope. It makes us believe that we're capable of extraordinary things. And there you have it, all 11 live-action Star Wars films ranked from worst to best. Now, I know some of you are probably typing furious comments about how I ranked The Last Jedi too low or Empire Strikes Back not high enough, and that's exactly what makes Star Wars so special. These films mean different things to different people. Maybe you saw the prequels first and they hold that special place in your heart. Maybe the sequels introduced you to this galaxy far, far away, and maybe you're an original trilogy purist who thinks everything after 1983 is heresy. What's undeniable is that Star Wars has given us decades of adventure, wonder, and yes, even disappointment. But that's what happens when you care deeply about something. Not every entry will hit the mark, but the ones that do remind us of why we fell in love with all of this in the first place. With new Star Wars content constantly in development, the conversation continues. Maybe future films will shake up this ranking entirely. Maybe the Andor Season 2 series launched Rogue One into a higher position in your context. For me, it was always number 1 or number 2. I still think that's the one I can watch over and over and over. But maybe we'll get that perfect Star Wars movie once again that makes us rethink everything we thought we knew about this franchise. So let me have it. Get in the comments. What's your ranking? I genuinely want to see how different everyone else's perspectives are. Let's get a little back and forth going, and let's be careful, though. You dish it out, I can dish back, but let's keep it respective, and let's have fun, guys. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Star Wars saga, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. We've got plenty more rankings, reviews, deep dives into all your favorite franchises, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, coming up. Until next time, may the Force be with you always. I'm KT. This is Multiverse of Mayhem. Thanks for watching.